All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at some excerpts from the American Economic Review,
Okay.
and we're going to be talking about stardom and talent.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and you always hear these stories about people who work really hard and
Yeah.
they deserve to be at the top of their field,
Yeah.
and they finally get there.
Uh-huh.
But what this research is saying is that that's not always the case.
Oh, really?
There's actually a lot more to it than just being good at what you do.
Huh.
Sometimes it's more about being the best known.
The best known.
Yeah, like being the first person to do something or being in the right place at the right time.
Hmm.
So like, for example, let's say you have two musicians.
Okay.
They're both incredibly talented,
Yeah.
but one of them happens to get their song played on the radio
Oh, wow.
at just the right time,
Right.
and it just blows up.
Yeah.
And the other musicians, they're just as good,
Uh-huh.
but they don't get that lucky break.
So they just don't get as famous.
Exactly. And this research actually found that, like, in the field of classical music, the top 1% of performers,
Wow. 1%.
yeah, they only outperform their peers by like 5%.
5%. That's it.
Yeah, in terms of technical skill, but they were making 10 times the income.
10 times. So you're telling me that a 5% difference in skill leads to a 10-fold increase in earnings?
That's what the research suggests.
Wow. So it really is about who you know and when you get your break.
And how much visibility you have.
Visibility, right?
It's like, this designer, they captured the zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, the spirit of the times.
All right.
And then suddenly everybody wants to wear their clothes.
Yeah, I've heard that term before, but I always forget what it means.
It basically just means like the defining mood or trend of a particular moment in history.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for the reminder.
So like, let's say this designer, they get a few celebrities to wear their clothes.
Oh, yeah. That's huge for a designer.
And boom, they become a household name.
Yeah, it's all about getting that lucky break.
Right. And somebody else could be just as talented,
Uh-huh.
but if they don't get that same opportunity,
They just miss out.
they miss out. And so this idea of like being the best known, it's not just limited to fashion.
Really?
Yeah, the research actually applies it to all sorts of fields,
Like what?
like winemaking art,
Yeah.
even scientific discoveries.
Scientific discoveries.
Yeah, think about it like two researchers.
Yeah.
They're working on the same problem,
Uh-huh.
but one of them, they published their findings first,
Oh, I see.
maybe in a more prestigious journal,
Right.
and they get all the attention
And funding.
and funding, even if the other researcher's work is just as good.
Makes sense.
There's actually an example in the source material
Oh, yeah.
about the discovery of pulsars.
Pulsars.
The first person to publish their findings,
Yeah.
they got all the credit and all the glory.
Wow. So sometimes it's not even about being the best, it's about being the first.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder
But about what?
about all the amazing work that might be out there
Uh-huh.
that just hasn't gotten the same lucky break.
Yeah, it makes you think about the systems we have in place.
Right. Like, are they really fair?
Yeah, are we rewarding the most talented people or just the people who happen to be in the right place at the right time?
Exactly. It's like, obviously talent is important,
Of course.
but there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, like timing, visibility, even just pure luck.
Yeah, it's not always a meritocracy.
It really makes you think,
It does.
like, how do we measure success?
Yeah.
And how much of it is about being truly exceptional versus being perceived as exceptional?
That's a great question.
I don't know the answer.
Me neither, but it's definitely something to think about.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
It's been a fascinating conversation,
It has.
and I hope you all learned something new.
Me too.
Until next time.
Bye, everyone.